You are on.
Okay, so we'll call the meeting of the Sign Advisory Committee to order on Tuesday, September 29th, 2020 at 9 a.m. Before we begin, let me read this notice. As a preliminary matter, this is Chris Young, Chair. Permit me to confirm all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mark Catone.
Yes.
Paul Wolf.
Here.
Kevin Kuster.
Here.
And is Ben on the line?
Here.
Yep.
Hey, Ben. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Kathy Flynn.
Present.
And are there any anticipated speakers?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Good morning. The open meeting of the SAC is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirements of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with the agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the SAC is convening by video conference via the Zoom app posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note the meeting is being recorded and all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold off until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to the members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. All right, so the first item on our agenda would be the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, to take a vote, Ben, are you in favor?
Favor.
Kevin?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am as well. So we've unanimously adopted our agenda. So we don't have any minutes to approve. So we'll move on to the first order of business in the applications section, which is the Nantucket Basket Museum's revised application.
Mr. Chair, it looks like Karen did arrive. Is it to find her here?
Oh, okay.
Karen, I'll ask you to unmute. Okay.
So Karen, why don't we give you the floor and tell us what you've done with your revised application.
Karen, you're muted.
How about now?
There you go.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right, we presented an alternative plan which would take the quarter board and center it over the porch on the front side of the building. And then the square rectangular sign that presently sits to the right of the front door, we would move that around to the side door where we actually enter the museum. And we also included the Nantucket Lightship Basket logo flag to hang below the American flag on the flagpole that honors Manny Diaz.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Let's go down the line of members for comment. Kevin, do you want to start?
Sure. If you could go to the picture where, on that elevation where the sign is down.
Here?
No, where the sign was taken down. Maybe they don't have that picture.
Is this on the facing the freeway intersection?
Yeah, on the gable. Do we have anything on the gable end before when the sign was taken down?
Let me just look at the previous submission.
Anyway, I can.
You talking about right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that, this is the major thoroughfare into town. Everybody who comes to town goes right by this. I think that when this building was done, the signs and their application and where they're positioned on the front and on this gable end, I think we're both very well thought out. They've been there since the start of the building, over 20 some years. I think that aside from the fact that they do a very good job of identifying the building from the sides where there's major traffic, I think it's also a case where there are buildings in town where we have stood firm on the signs and on their placement, notably Pacific National Bank, Club Car, the drugstore. We even recently, with Marine Home, had them keep their signs in the same place, and to use their historic signs. So I think this has kind of crossed a point where I don't see making a change for any solid, valid reason here. I don't know if this is a whim of a board member or of some place, but this is, in my mind, clearly not very thought out, not for the best interest of the person coming to visit the museum. And I don't think it fits architecturally with this slab sign over the door. As I said last time, I think the way this was done originally, it's adequately signed, it's within the guidelines. They have an exception on the gable end now that if they take away, they may not get back again. So I would encourage the applicant to withdraw this application and let the signs work that are there. They've worked well for 20 some years with apparently no issue. As far as the flag goes, I don't know, our flag guidelines are very loose. It does refer to the flags to be similar to the signs. I don't see this flag as being similar to the signs, and I don't really know at what point we want to start allowing flags with signs with logos, flag signs with logos, unless that logo is also restricted to the size that it would be on a sign, which would be 10%. So those are my comments. Thanks.
Okay. Paul?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that changing it the way the applicant wants it does meet the guidelines. However, the flag sign does not. So I don't have an objection to it because it meets the guidelines.
Okay. Mark?
I probably agree with Paul. I think the flag sign is technically a third sign, which we wouldn't comply with the guidelines. And technically the application, I think, does comply, as we touched on in our last review, with our guidelines. I can actually think of several precedents of large plank signs like this over front entrance, main facade. I appreciate actually that the sign at the front door has been relocated now to this rear entrance. So I would, I'm in support of the application, less the flag sign.
Okay. Ben?
I don't know. Can I comment on this because I wasn't here originally, or?
Kathy?
Not really, because yeah, he wasn't on the original one, so you can make.
Okay.
I have to recuse. I guess.
So I think I agree with Mark and Paul in that it's according to the guidelines, it's an approvable location to have that sign over the door, and using the second wall sign on the backside would be appropriate as well. I also agree with Kevin that the flag sign is not, it would be a third sign, and the design, the guidelines are loose, but I think we just, the fact that it's a third sign kind of gets us out of having to debate that, assuming they want to keep their second sign by the back door. Before a motion is made, Karen, do you want to respond to anything that's been said?
Well, I really think that the appropriate place for the quarter board is at the front of the building. And I understand the old placement, but I do think that that is not an effective place. It's really not over a door. It doesn't do anything to guide people to the museum. And moving the other sign around to the door that we actually use for entering the museum, I think is appropriate. And the flag, we just felt that it was enhancing the flagpole.
I think there's been, well, we can see what the motion states, but the flag sign being a third sign really is sort of like the one that you ought to consider withdrawing if you were to ask my personal opinion. But you have to pick two signs to put on your application according to the guidelines. So if we were to, does somebody want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve as submitted with the flag sign removed from the application, limiting it to just the two signs.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, well, is there any discussion on that? Kevin, do you want to make any comment on that before we vote?
No, I guess clearly I'm the only one who sees the value in keeping it as it is. I just hope that when this applicant either now or in the future comes back and saying people can't find our building because they can't see a sign on that gable end, that what are we going to do? Go through this all over again? So anyway,
okay.
I'm still not in favor of it. Thank
you. Does anybody else want to make? I guess we've had a motion and a second by the other two members. So why don't we put it to a vote? Paul, your vote?
Aye.
Your motion. Okay, and Mark?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Hey.
Okay, and I would vote in favor. So we'll send this to the full board with a recommendation for approval, and that's with the flag sign being denied as part of the application.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So this application shouldn't reflect that they're just relocating both signs. It just shows locating the quarter board. So
yes, I think
acceptable to just put the two signs as relocating. Is that acceptable with the board?
I think for sake of efficiency, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it doesn't address, the flag sign's not really being addressed as being applied for. Is that correct? There's no,
yes,
technically no application. Okay. So Karen, the flag sign would be an unapproved sign. Therefore, it would be in violation if it was being used, because it's an unapproved sign, not applied for, not approved. So that makes sense.
So the application will limit itself to the two signs in the locations as submitted.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Kathy, you're saying you'll process it as a relocation of existing signage
Right.
application. And
I'm just going to update it. Sorry, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to
Yeah.
update it, Karen, to reflect what the board said, and I'll put that in the comments. So moving forward, if anybody looks up the application, they'll understand you were just relocating both signs. Okay.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you
And
for all your time. Appreciate it.
appreciate it. That concludes new applications. We have enforcement, which has been, Kathy, do you want to discuss anything on the enforcement side?
I did send an enforcement letter to Isaiah Fitness on Orange Street, 117 Orange Street.
Should I come out and measure the floor, or should?
That's not an approved sign for that location, or he didn't apply for it to be relocated. So that was really the
Okay.
thing that I've sent out so far. So,
Excuse me.
and I also discussed, I believe that they took down last week, NIR took down the one-way signs on the actual street. The street address is 19 North Water Street, believe it or not. That's where they get their mail. When I emailed Mike Duffy earlier in the season, I had addressed it as 19 North Water Street, and it just fell off his radar. So they removed, the other day I saw that they removed the one-way signs, and I don't know what they've put up in this place, but they were removed.
Okay, that's great news. Thank you.
Chris, question?
Yeah, Paul.
Kathy, who was it you spoke about on Orange Street?
I did. It's the old. It's where Fast Forward is. Where the video place used to be, Orange Street
Right.
Video. So there was a trainer there, and he put up
Okay.
a sign. And
Okay.
I know it hasn't come before the board, so I sent him out a courtesy violation notice and asked him to apply.
Is that for the projecting sign, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Chris, can I bring up two items?
Please do.
One is one is your next door neighbor, the Down Lake.
Okay.
They have out by the street a flag sign that says open. One of those modern flag signs. And I don't think that's part of the coronavirus issue. I think it's not a flag a sign they should have up. Have you
Okay,
seen
Kathy, honestly, I haven't paid attention to it, but I will look out my window after this meeting. I would say, Kathy, that's something that you could definitely send a notice about.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't know. I just on that. I don't know that. I don't feel as strongly about that, I guess, is my opinion, if I may. I think all the restaurants. I mean, if we're really going to start to go down that path, I think we could cite probably a dozen restaurants who've got similar signage of open or something they're putting out during the day. And Beat is one that comes to mind. It's a gray area. I mean, they're all in violation straight across the board, and they've been given a free pass, I think, until whenever the governor, I guess. Yeah. November or something, is it actually? And
Right now, as it stands, it's November, but I mean, I think that someone brought up a point at the beginning when we all started meeting virtually that maybe it might be a nice idea to have put something either in the INM or maybe through the town administration about signs moving forward. But it was mentioned at the select board meeting that all these are temporary and they're just because of COVID. So
I mean, we're going to have some major cleanup to do, because I don't think the day the policy or whatever it is rescinded, they're all going to just disappear overnight. And, we're reading right or wrongly, whether we're supposed to be taking this into consideration, but the businesses are all suffering. I don't know how many will remain open in the next month. Or can afford to remain open. So I think we'll see some changes probably as the weather cools in terms of what these restaurants can even do. So I'm just a little more cautious about hitting them up. I've kind of turned a blind eye to a lot of this for the obvious.
Kevin, I'll withdraw my comments.
It takes, sorry, Paul.
Chris, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's good to be aware of what's going on out there. And Mark, I agree. There's just so many different types of violations right now that it's going to be a challenge to get everybody back on to the level playing field.
Has anybody taken a look at Annie and the T's lately?
Yeah.
You can't see in the windows because they're plastered with signs.
I know that a few of them at the very beginning of the season were putting their merchandise how they can order it online because they weren't open at the time.
Yeah.
Because they weren't allowed to have anybody in their retail shop. I noticed that at first, but I don't know if that's still the case.
It's sort of like a large catalog page.
Yeah, it's just they're all suffering right now. Really, it's kind of scary. So
the only one that I will say did COVID non-related, in my opinion. There's a new development sign up on Cliff Road. I want to say it's not going to get it right, but it was something like Tomasello Development, and it's not insignificant. It's a freestanding 2-post sign on the road. They're probably building a home in the back. I'm guessing it's a mainland developer.
That's probably Mark Tomiolo.
That sounds right, Paul. Yeah, I've been meaning to take a pic as I drive by.
Please do.
I'll send it out. But if you guys are out and about, we've got a couple of them like that, and some border on construction signs. This one doesn't even say construction; it says development. So it seems a little in your face. Yeah.
There's also a development kind of one. If you look at that development on Hummock Pond Road on the way out to Cisco that Sanford is doing. There's a stone sign right off the road that says the name of the development and calls it private, and I don't remember that being applied for.
What's the name of that one, Kevin?
I'll take a picture. It's like Hawley Park or
it's Hawthorne Park.
Hawthorne Park. Okay. All right. I can send that to the architects and find out. Yeah.
Chris, we did address signage for them when they put up a 2-posted freestanding sign right in that same spot, which they have taken down, and then they put in that stone post. I don't think the stone post is terrible, but we already told them they can't have a freestanding sign.
Got it.
By the way, Paul, your new sign looks nice.
You're kidding. Really?
It is freestanding, but it looks nice.
Well, I do have a question.
Let me just tell Kevin something.
Okay.
When I drove by it last weekend, I said, "Oh my God, it's much bigger than it used to be."
That's what I was going to say.
And I called up the people involved, and they said, "No, it's exactly the same size. It's probably just an optical illusion because it's bright and new and fresh." I don't know what Mark's going to say, but
I was going to say the same thing. I thought it looked bigger too, but
I'm going to go measure. Right.
It does look better at scale, size aside, I guess. But I was like, looks a little larger. But
all right. Let's move on. The last order of business on the agenda is just discussion of our mission statement. Has anybody figured out why we're here?
See you later.
Well, I don't think we should tell anybody.
Okay. Keep it a secret.
I think I was going to work on that. I will. I haven't. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, there's one item left, which is item 5. A motion to adjourn made by Paul. Second. And all in roll call. Kevin.
Yes.
Paul. Mark.
Yes, but I have a question when you're finished.
All right. I'm sorry. Was that Paul?
I have a question for Kathy. When is our next meeting?
It's
2
in
weeks.
2 weeks. Well, I will actually hang on one second. I don't have.
Isn't 2 weeks? Isn't that the
Is there a
12th?
Columbus Day?
It's whenever the new business. Oh, I don't have the calendar in front of me. Stand by. Oh, where is it?
2 weeks is the 12th. And that's Columbus.
Whenever the I don't have the calendar in front of me here. I'm not at my desk. The 12th, the HTC is not meeting that week because regulatory boards cannot meet during, they can't air 2 regulatory meetings at once. And we would normally have met on Monday, but because of the holiday of Columbus Day, we're not meeting at all. So they're not meeting that week. So whenever the next new business meeting is, so it might be, sorry.
The 19th?
I got the 20th on my calendar.
I think it's
behind me.
I think it's the 20th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 20th because so October
thank you.
20th. All right. Thank you, Paul, for reminding me to fix that.
All right.
Hey,
All right,
So
thanks, guys.
everybody-
Have a good week.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Bye,
Thanks,
Ray.
guys. Good to see you.
All right. Bye.